Today I am going to do a demonstration on how I make Fused Clapton wire, and I'm going to do it using a method that you may have seen before, but I've never seen it with Fused Claptons, only with normal Claptons. Now, Fused Claptons are quite difficult to make, especially when you're using it doing it by hand. A normal Clapton is not too bad, but as you can see here, this is a Fused Clapton I made by hand, and parts are pretty good. It's not going to focus all that great, is it? You can see some parts are pretty good, then some parts get a little far apart. Now, when you're using this 36 gauge, which I find to be the best nichrome, to be the best gauge to use, along with the 26 gauge Kanthal, or also 24 gauge stainless steel, which does tend to ohm to a little bit low. In fact, I just made these Fused Claptons, which turned out pretty great, except they're ohming at 0.06, which is too low for this atomizer. So I'm gonna do some 26 gauge Kanthal, and I'm going to show you the technique I like to use in order to get great straight Fused Claptons with no gaps or weird sort of issues that you might get when you do it by hand. Now here's the main method is we're going to use these. They're called Beadolon wire tamers. You can get these at Michael's, or you can get these at probably Hobby Lobby, something like that. They're about $2, and you put these on, and it allows the spool not to kind of explode and get unspooled. At the same time, there's a hole here which kind of nicely allows it to come out slowly. Then you use one of these Kanger, I think they're called the forget what the name of it is, but you can find these online. They're for like the Evod tank, I think. So you may have seen this done before with just this. It has a nice area here for a track where you can feed it onto the inner post. But I'm not sure if I've seen any videos using it with the Beadolon. Now the idea here is, this is probably the toughest part of the whole thing. The idea here is to thread this through the atomizer, take out any cotton inside of it, and then thread it through. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that this is going to be nice and snug, so that when it gets fed through the hole, it's going to keep it next to the tightly against the spool, and that is going to help put them on the inner post very, very evenly. So we're going to take our inner post, which is 26 gauge Kanthal, and we're just going to snip it, and then we're going to straighten it like normal. Sorry that this is all a view of my crotch, but this is the best view I have right now. I don't have a workbench or anything, so kind of just do this like this anyways. Okay, so then just cut it in half, eyeball it. Some people like to take their swivel, see the swivel here, which I'm going to use, and they like to just loop it through the swivel. I find that doesn't usually work for me that well. I just like to have two inner posts like this, and then I'll just tie it to the swivel at the end. And you got to be careful that they're parallel, so that you don't so that the wire doesn't get twisted, because if it does get twisted, what's going to happen is the wire will twist on itself. These two will twist on themselves, and then so that's why we're going to cut them at the tips here, and then the wire is going to twist on itself and ruin the Fused Clapton. Okay, so we're going to just run our hands through it and make sure it's parallel, and then just put it on like this, and then just don't tie it. I think tying it might actually cause it to so that when you do this, the swivel turns. Okay. Now we're gonna take this and put it on the chuck. Don't give it too much slack, because you do want it to be right next to the wire. You want everything to be nice and snug together, so that when this feeds out, it feeds out with the atomizer next to the coil. And then this is probably the most important part. Make sure that it goes, that this is facing the way that it comes out. If it's facing this way, it'll just go next to it and break it. Okay, so it has to be the side that comes out has to be facing that way. And then we put this on the track and we go until it's next to it, and then we're just gonna hold it, and now we can just do it without any hands. Okay, and we are getting nice, even. The only part that's not even is the beginning, but that's always going to be a bust anyways. Just keep it going. Let's see if we can get a good shot on it. Using one hand, as you can see. Alright, 1 second.